From sunny Mallorca. Welcome to the GCN show!
Welcome to the GCN show. It is packed this week, starting by putting an end to some of cycling's longest running or hottest debates thanks to a duel in Flanders.
Yeah, we have an interview with an international DJ, Jabig, who's riding across Canada on a fixie. A gravel race, one with only one break, and an update on last week's show. It's me or the bike.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that the Jumbo-Visma men's team are now also launching a women's team for 2021, which is fantastic news. It's going to be headed up, unsurprisingly perhaps, by Dutch cycling legend Marianne Vos.
Oh, yeah, we also learned that John Ornay has just ridden 100 miles in 2 hours and 20 minutes, tucked in behind a minivan on a NASCAR track, and laid claim to the fastest pace century ever.
That is such a cool record, isn't it?
Unreal.
And some effort as well, averaging 42.6 miles an hour, even on the bumper of a minivan. Now, apparently this record came about after an epiphany following a brutal crash where he was knocked off by a car last year. And he's now on a mission to live life to the full, including also starting a band and swimming 54 miles across Lake Michigan.
Wowzers.
To be fair, the only one of those I would stand a chance with is the paced century. There's no way.
Yeah, I can't see you swimming,
54 miles,
no.
or indeed starting a band. So.
Yeah, I don't want to hear you singing either. We also witnessed an incredible battle at the men's Tour of Flanders between the two titans of the sport, giving us some definitive answers to cycling's longest running questions.
Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you, on paper, that Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert would be quite similar. Both started off in cyclocross, where they've completely dominated the sport. Wout van Aert has 3 world titles, Mathieu van der Poel has 2. They both also now, of course, have 1 monument apiece. Van Aert took San Remo, and van der Poel has taken Tour of Flanders. And then, not to mention a whole raft of other major road race victories that they've taken in a really short amount of time.
But if you take a second closer look, they actually differ in the most crucial ways, allowing us to get the answers to those age-old debates.
Yeah, so firstly, you ready for this? Rim brake, Wout van Aert, versus disc brake, van der Poel.
Well, disc brakes, obviously. What can you say about that?
Well, nothing. That's the point. Definitively settled. Disc brakes are clearly, therefore, better. Now, next up, this one has taken me back, James, I'm not going to lie.
Go on.
Black shorts, Van Aert, versus white shorts, Van der Poel. Therefore, white shorts, white shorts win, don't they?
How's that feel, Si?
Really, really bad. I mean, that is awful.
I mean,
isn't it?
didn't see that one coming.
Nope.
But let's move on swiftly. White socks versus black socks.
Another huge crushing disappointment for us all, I think. White socks clearly have the edge. Wout van Aert, I didn't realise there was quite that much riding on his shoulders, but frankly, I feel a bit let down.
Yeah, I would if I were you too, Si. And finally, aero bike versus non-aero bike. And surprise, surprise, yes, the aero bike storms forward for victory.
Well, yeah. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the raw power that was on display in that sprint finish, but you've got to wonder, haven't you, whether or not that super aero new bike of Van der Poel actually did make the difference, given it was that tight. They were going at 50k an hour, putting out goodness knows how many watts, and it was half a wheel.
Oh, hold on, Si. Way too much controversy here.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to leave the last word to Wout van Aert and what he said over on Instagram. So Wout van Aert said on Instagram, thanks to Mathieu van der Poel for pushing me to my limits over the years. Yesterday was our closest battle ever, to be continued. And we look forward to more battles like that, because that was unreal, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it was a brilliant day. I do kind of wish that we got to see what would have happened if Julien Alaphilippe had made it into the real closing stages of that race.
I mean, we wouldn't have had the sprint though, would he?
Well, no, but imagine the attack on the Paterberg,
yeah.
maybe, which would have been awesome. And of course, the women's race as well. Fantastic solo victory from Chantal van den Broek-Black. Both of those you can see over on Race Pass as well. So again, geo restrictions may apply where you live, so do check. But both definitely worth a watch. Now, James, we want to dive back in, don't we, to last week's hot topic. It's me or the bike? Some brilliant comments under that one. So thank you very much for getting stuck in. Start with this one from Jennifer W. My husband complained that he couldn't keep up with me on my carbon bike. After months of listening to this, I bought him a high-end steed. He still can't keep up, so we ride separately. I'm entirely happy with the situation, but I would like a refund on the bike.
Fair enough, to be honest. We got one from Cosmos. Think it's the other way around. Relationships were ruining my cycling.
Wow. Yeah, no, we did not thought about it like that.
No,
But yeah, fair enough. The
Hunt Crick.
Hunter Chic, maybe? The Hunter Chic. I'm lucky that my boyfriend is a cyclist, and that is how we met.
Oh,
that's pretty cool, isn't
I
it?
love that. Yeah, I do like that. And we want one from Jer. It's me or the bike. What a fake story. We all know that in reality it would be it's me or the bikes.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
Nice.
like that.
Yeah, finally, we'll leave the last word to Scott Burt. Human beings are temporary, bikes are forever. So there we go.
I like those comments.
Yeah, although make sure you don't buy a steel bike, because that wouldn't be forever. Leave it out in the rain, and that's going to disintegrate.
Yeah.
Much like a relationship, a bike needs constant love and care and attention. You need to tend to it all the time, otherwise, it'll stop working for you.
Right, thank you, Si.
That's all right, mate.
Moving on. Want to hear about a man who cycled across Canada during a pandemic to raise money for World Bicycle Relief?
Yes, please.
Good.
My name is Jabig, born Jean-Aimé Bigurimana, and I'm a DJ from Montreal, Canada. And I'm going to share the story of how I just finished crossing the country in a pandemic. I walked by a bicycle store, and I walked in, and I bought a bike. So I just started riding around my city. And then eventually I was riding so much that I was going further. At first it was in like the neighborhood, and then in the city's outskirts, and then out of the city. And then I was looking at it and I realized, oh my goodness, I've just cycled 5,000 kilometers in 3 months, which is, the whole summer. And I said, oh, that's almost the distance from Vancouver to Montreal. And then I came up with the idea of just cycling across Canada, just on a whim like that. So the next winter, I hopped on a bike and I cycled across Canada on a fixed gear, coast to coast to coast. I should just ride around the world because that's the next step, right? I hopped on a bike and I went to Boston, and then from Boston across the UK, and I went to the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Switzerland, and then the pandemic hit. So I came back home in Montreal, and then I did a whole lockdown with the whole country from March until June. By June, I was feeling restless again, and I said, you know what? The first time I rode across Canada, it was in winter, it was on a fixed gear bike. Let me just try this in summer, and with a bicycle with gear, And so then in early August, I started from the Pacific coast, and I dipped my wheel into the Pacific Ocean, and I started riding. It took me 71 days to finish the journey, and I rode close to 5,000 kilometers and raised around $10,000 US, which all 100% of it is going to World Bicycle Relief so they can get bicycles to more people who need them. But what was interesting is that given the pandemic, everything is shut down. Restaurants, some of the hotels. So I really had to ride long days in the saddle. The fact that me being out there on a bicycle, enjoying myself, actually contributes to making the world a better place for hopefully what's going to be thousands of people a continent away. We would recommend to everybody to go on an epic trip like this. But if you're starting out and you want to do these kind of trips, I would start with perhaps just going around your city, and then the next weekend perhaps you go in the same city but you go outside the city and you find a motel or you camp or you do whatever you want to do, and then you return the next day, and then you turn into a weekend and then to a week. So what's next for me? Obviously, once I was in the middle of cycling around the world and the pandemic ruined my plans, but I still feel that I have something big coming. Stay tuned. You can find me on Instagram @Jabig for more adventures. So you'll see me on the road very soon. Thank you so much.
Wow, so not only did he ride across Canada and then begin to ride around the world, undeterred by COVID-19, he rode back across Canada. Fair play to the guy. You can, of course, watch the film. There's a link to it in the description, and also to his fundraising page.
What an incredible feat of endurance that.
Would you rather ride across Canada or swim across Lake Michigan?
Ride across Canada.
I would as well, yeah.
Swim.
That'd be such a nice ride.
I mean, yeah, swim doesn't it isn't worth thinking about.
Yeah. As if that wasn't inspirational enough, it's now time for GCN Inspiration. That part of the show where we pick out our favourite photos that you've uploaded to the GCN app and then award a prize to each of them. James, can you start us off with third place and third prize, in fact?
Third place, winning some Italian-themed striped socks, is Nicholas, who sent in this amazing picture with incredible vista behind his specialised alley. He actually taught himself some mechanics during lockdown and then decided to go on a big bikepacking route across the NC 500 course that you know very well. You did it.
I do indeed, yeah.
Yeah, and he did it in autumn. So he had this amazing picture. But I've got to say, looking closely, what on earth is that attached to his saddle? Can you see that, Si?
Looks a little bit like a scrotum. Should we move on? Yeah, okay.
That is
Well, no, let's move on. Right, in second place, winning an epic climb Stelvio Pass t-shirt plus some GCN striped socks, Italian theme. We've got this one, which is a beautiful photo sent in by DMC5080. Lovely foliage in Canton, Massachusetts. Autumn in New England is the best time to ride, and that does look pretty awesome, doesn't it? I think autumn in here in the UK is possibly the best time to ride as well, if it's as good as it is at the moment.
I mean, if I was there during that lovely, beautiful day with a blue sky head, I would probably jump in the river as well.
Well, yes, you would, James. And I know this because I've seen you do it.
Moving on. In first place, winning this incredible prize bundle of an Italian t-shirt, navy blue, core white t-shirt, and fan kit bib shorts in black and red.
Whoa.
Yeah, coming in from Carl Renier, 6219. Wow, what an incredible photo that is.
It is. It's at the same time an incredible photo and also a really rubbish photo that I imagine is going to get photographers really irritated. But I just think it just looks...
I love that though. You've got all the lens flare, you've got the dark and you've got the light and it's moody and it's artistic and it's done on a 100k ride. I've got to say, yeah, I love that. I'd have that on my wall.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's floating your boat. Not just a 100k ride, his first 100k ride. So I hope it went well for you.
Makes
after
it that bit
amazing
inspirational,
start.
doesn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Now that Stelvio t-shirt, by the way, that we've just given away. Well, the Giro goes up the Stelvio on stage 18, so that's this week sometime. Just as a little nod, we're going to take 18% off the Stelvio Pass t-shirts. So you can find that off. Where can you find it?
Over on the GCN app.
On GCN app
this Thursday.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we will start with the news that Colnago are going to be selling 232 commemorative V3R bikes to celebrate Tadej Pogacar's Tour de France victory. The first, remember, Tour de France victory for Ernesto Colnago. The price for one of these beauties is a cool €30,000. But it will be signed by Ernesto himself, and it comes with a gold plaque, apparently.
And if you don't love yellow, well, there's half of them are yellow and half of them are white. So you can pick your colour to suit. But moving on, actually, the first US big gravel race has just taken place in Utah since the full force of the pandemic hit. It's known as the Belgian Waffle Ride and it originated in California and is now a 3-race series.
Mountain biker Rose Grant won the women's event and her Pivot Cycles teammate Keegan Svensson, he who had an Everesting world record to his name just a few months ago, won the men's event and he did so with only a back brake.
Yeah, now the story behind that is his front brake lever got ripped off early on in the race when he had a bit of a tangle with another competitor. But he didn't just stop there, no, he carried on racing with just a rear brake. And seeing as, well, the front brake does most of your braking, especially on a gravel ride, well, that seems quite worrying.
Yeah, he must have been popular with the other riders in the lead group every time it got to a corner or a descent. Coming through, guys, Keegan Cannonball. But anyway, fair play to the guy. He outsprinted Peter Stettiner to take that victory. Right, now moving on, thanks to the wonders of Google, our next story comes from the Bowen Island undercurrent. Yep, that was a new one on me as well, but I couldn't help but click because the story promised the worst bike ride in Canada where you will suffer like a dog and learn to hate cycling like never before.
Sounds like my idea of heaven.
It
as
does,
you
doesn't
probably know. Yeah, it was the creation of Christoph Haas, who designed this route, taking every kilometre of paved road on the island, which is Bowen Island, which is just off the coast of Vancouver. It's 130 kilometres long, but it's got 4,000 metres of elevation. And if you want to know more about it, then head over to Bowen Island Man to get more info.
Yeah, right. Now, over here in the UK, we want to give a quick shout out to the Five Rings Cafe, which has just opened in Edinburgh. And it's been opened by 3 Olympic gold medalist track cyclists, Philip Hines, Owain Doull and Callum Skinner. Now, thought the coffee looked pretty mint, but actually it's the fact that their bar is made up of part of the old Meadowbank Velodrome, which was Edinburgh's velodrome. How good does that look?
It's proper track themed, isn't it?
Yeah,
love it. Looks really cool. And I also wanted to give a big shout out to the Lincolnshire County Council, a county in England, who installed a bike rack that looked like a car, but then, removed it 24 hours later because it took up a car parking space and it confused the residents because it looked like a car.
Yeah, I think looking like a car and taking up a car parking space was kind of the point of that design, wasn't it? But never mind. Hopefully they'll find places to park their bikes elsewhere. Right, now the Giro d'Italia is still going on despite a rash of positive tests for COVID-19 on the first rest day. I say it's still going on. It might actually have stopped by the time you read this if the situation changes, but some teams were looking for the race organisers to be making contingency plans in case the worst should happen. Team EF, most notably, who suggested the race actually be called to a premature end regardless on the second rest day.
Yeah, time will tell if that's a good idea, but at least the riders will get a few more box-fresh jerseys of those Palace design ones that, they could sell on eBay, couldn't they? Because they are trading for more or around $600 a pop. $600, mate.
They're cool jerseys, but that does seem
That's
extortionate,
mental.
doesn't it? Yeah. Maybe you could buy one and then buy your limited edition Colnago Tour de France edition, and you just properly bling out of the cafe.
I was going to say that. Yeah, you're going to be. Yeah, your wallet's going to look quite small after that, I reckon.
Yeah, you'll have to ask someone else to buy your coffee, wouldn't you? But anyway, now at the Giro actually last week, there's some brilliant racing, but notably for me, Peter Sagan ended his 460-something day drought between victories, and he did it in emphatic style as well. And we also saw a maiden and very popular Grand Tour stage win from Teo Gegenhardt of Team Ineos.
It's now time for Hack/Bodge of the week, and we got the first one coming in from GMBN presenter Zim Blake with that balance bike that he actually made, Si.
Yeah, not a bad effort, that. Not a bad effort. Fortunately, most GCN viewers stayed loyal and called it a bodge. So yeah, thank you very much. 59% of you. Yeah. I mean, it does look quite good though, doesn't it?
Wouldn't want to try backflipping that though.
No.
It looked like it would be quite unstable, but that's just me.
Landing would hurt.
Yeah, I haven't got Zim Blake's skills. So yeah,
No.
not for me.
Right, okay, next up we got this one sent in by Mike Bosch. A C-clamp, seat post clamp. This is the ultimate bodge. He said it himself, a giant rock with a seat post held up by a rusty old C-clamp. To be fair, I mean, if it holds it up, it's still a bodge, but at least you can get home on it.
I mean, it's definite bodge, and I agree with 98% of the GCN app community. Definitely.
Yeah, that's fairly unanimous, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, what's up next?
We've got one from Jake Smith, balcony paint booth. Look at that. My wife wanted her black bike painted, so he kind of made a booth outside on his balcony. And actually, that looks really good.
That does
It
look
looks like
good.
it's got good ventilation because it's outside, but yet you're still getting it all boothed up with all the different bits of plastic, so paint doesn't get absolutely everywhere and all over those poor passers-by at the bottom.
Fair play. That's ingenious. I'm going to say that's a hack. James, what about you?
I'd definitely say that's a hack, and actually, Manon on a custom paint job should have done something similar.
Well, yeah. 79% of you thought it was a hack as well. Right then, next up we've got this one from Crawford Jamie 96. AeroPress necessities. Possibly the most hipster thing I've ever done. I fully understand the outcome of any vote will be bodge, but my girlfriend's house has 0 coffee making capabilities and I'm staying there for 3 weeks. So he's used his bottle case to take his AeroPress round. That is very hipster, isn't it?
It's quite amazing, actually. The only time I've seen loads of AeroPresses is around pro bike riders, but they only seem to use them in the first 2 days or 3 days of a Grand Tour because then they just get too tired and end up going down for coffee at the restaurant. But yeah, that's quite something, taking it with you on your bike. And I can see you, if you're waiting for a puncture or something, sitting there.
I can imagine that, yeah. I wonder whether, we did a show about it's me or the bike. Maybe in this case, yeah, it's me or you get a blooming cafetiere or something.
We got one in from Will Fox who, didn't have a handle for his shed. So sometimes, he just used a crank.
Nice.
Which is wicked, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts bike shed and it really becomes a pure bike shed when you're using bike bits for your shed.
I like that. The only slight problem I can foresee is that if you wanted to keep your bike shed sort of stealthy to deter, thieves and general lowlifes, putting a set of cranks on the door is probably not the best way.
It's a bit the telltale sign, isn't it? Like you're a bike guy.
Maybe like a neon sign with like an arrow next to it, like
that might help.
Bikes kept here.
Yeah.
But no, I like that. What a great use for an old crank arm.
89% hack, so
there we go.
Pretty unanimous.
Not many people had security concerns then, clearly,
No.
on the GCN app. Right then, still going. We've got this one from Het Freak. A bike chair seen at a local bike shop. A nice chair if you want to sit on after a bike ride and have a brew as well. Look at that in the middle. See, 2 of you could sit on your bikes. That looks ridiculously uncomfortable.
I was going to say, mate, I, of all people, don't like being on saddles more than I have to. And the last thing I want to do is do a big ride and then sit on a saddle to have my coffee.
Well, yeah, sitting on a saddle and not having any weight on your hands or anything. Yeah.
That's not for me.
It's not for me.
It's not for me.
No, that's a bodge as far as I'm
It's
concerned.
definite bodge.
Unless it's there as art, in which case it looks great. Right, well that is it for this week on Hack or Bodge. Of course, you can check out all of the hacks and bodges that are on the GCN app. There are stacks and there's some brilliant ones. We just pick out a small selection each and every week. And please do keep your hacks and bodges coming in as well.
It's time now for Caption competition, the moment in the show where you get to get your hands on the coveted GCN water bottle.
Oh yes, this one worryingly, James, has some kind of liquid in it. So I don't know what that is.
We'll get you a new one.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Right, the method of entry is simple. You just got to stick a witty caption in the comment section down below, a caption to the photo we're about to give you. But, of course, it's results time first. This was the photo from last week. Ed Turns at Brabantse Peel with no sock or shoe on.
Yeah, he's not doing a transition in a triathlon. He's merely just changed his socks, isn't he?
Well, I mean, I don't know why, but anyway, perhaps who's the winner?
But
James?
the winner is Tim Bishop, and he goes, taking your shoe and sock off while still on the bike is an amazing feat.
Amazing feat. See what you did there, Tim? I'm pretty sure, Tim, you're now going to have a pair of these bottles because I'm pretty sure you won a couple of weeks back with a belter.
Well, the guy's obviously great at caption competition.
Absolutely,
something
yeah.
I'm pretty rubbish at.
Yeah, no, me too, as you're about to find out. Because this is this week's photo taken from the Giro d'Italia.
Go on.
Yeah, okay. Italian national champ Giacomo Nizzolo completely blew up at this year's Giro d'Italia. See what I did there? Like the jersey, and it's kind of poof, looks like, the tricolore or tricolore or whatever it is.
You cite a few factual mistakes there. He wasn't at the Giro.
He's not at the Giro, no, that is
Doesn't
true.
ride in Italian national champs kit either. He's European.
He's the European champ as well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But if you leave those two things aside and take it on face value, what a quality caption.
No.
See if you can do better and stick your entries in the comment section down below.
I don't think we could be friends after that comment.
Really?
I mean, it's so factually incorrect.
Yeah,
Anyway.
okay. I'm sorry, mate. Can I buy you a brew?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, as always, you've been leaving some brilliant comments on GCN over the last week. In fact, we've had a whole stack of them at the beginning of the show, but we're going to have some more now, starting with underneath strange things that pro cyclists do. Andy Mitchell says, if a baby eats their porridge, they'll grow up big. Connor banned from eating porridge for some reason.
You can understand why. He's becoming huge.
Yeah.
He's huge, isn't he? Under the same video, actually, we've got one from Nick Christie. Sorry, was only half watching whilst cooking dinner, but all I heard was shaving your big ring before Christmas. Glad my grandson wasn't nearby.
Well, he probably didn't have quite such a filthy mind, but I think he was saving your big ring.
That was definitely it.
Yeah, so don't use your big ring until after Christmas. But yeah. It's fair. Nowadays with compact chain sets, that's just rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you're not allowed to use your 50, you wouldn't go anywhere. So
I definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, and then underneath the how to train if you're short on time, Matthew Carter said, Bridgewood, the number of tabs open on your MacBook is maddening. And I'd have to agree, but we have to spend actual time with Bridgewood. And so honestly, the number of tabs open on his MacBook is the least of our worries. So,
and it's kind of, it shows about what's going on in Bridges' head, isn't it? There's a lot of things up there.
A lot of
things open.
Yeah.
Not really focused on one. But moving on to the video of recovery tips. From Katie, I see Connor's been taking relaxation tips from the boy wonder, Simon Richardson.
She didn't write that. No, she didn't write that, did she? I was going to say.
So tell us a bit about that one. Is that bit tree?
Not just Connor, tree hugging. Also, someone tagged me on Twitter about, that tiger that was photographed hugging a tree. They thought that had taken inspiration from our video about riding slowly versus riding quickly.
Yeah. So we're going to see all cyclists now tree hugging.
Yeah. Right, let's get on to what is coming up on the channel over the next 7 days as well. Starting with on Wednesday, how to plan your ultimate training loop. On Thursday, sneaky tactics to drop your mates. Is that one of yours, James?
It is. It is indeed. Yeah, I've had good fun filming with Manon on those videos. On Friday, we've got slow cycling, how to explore your local city.
That was your toughest assignment, wasn't it, James?
It was. That was. I actually really enjoyed that one, yeah.
You rode around really slowly and ate lots of food.
I mean, sign me up. Saturday, Jeremy's epic full ride, 100 miles and 10,000 feet of climbing. So that should be a really interesting one now.
Yeah, and then on Sunday, we talked about it last week, in the wake of the cancellation of Paris-Roubaix, go and make your own, which we did, didn't we? With Sean Kelly, which we're super excited about. It was a bit like dreams come true, wasn't it?
I have to say,
with Sean Kelly.
I kind of fanboy. I had a fanboy moment then where I was riding across these cobbles. I mean, they weren't the proper classic cobbles.
They were worse.
Wow.
Although the cobble classics have finished, unfortunately, apart from our own, of course, which we said is next Sunday, there is a stack of racing still over on GCN Race Pass. It's the climax of the Giro d'Italia, all being well, and indeed the start of the Vuelta a España, which almost unbelievably is going to take place over the next two and a bit weeks, I think. So yeah, do make sure you check into Race Pass for that. Some Giro restrictions will apply, and also cyclocross as well. Yeah. Lest we forget, the cross season is here, which is just brilliant. Already. This mini season is kind of like, I feel a little bit discombobulated.
There's so much cycling for you guys to watch, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this show, then make sure you give it a big thumbs up. I, for sure, have enjoyed being with it. It's been a while, Si, since I've joined you on the table at the GCN show, so I'm here every week if you want to give me a shout.
Absolutely, mate, yeah, it's been a pleasure having you.
Right, coffee time? You're buying.
Oh, it's my round, isn't it?
Yeah.